Welcome to episode 179 of the Phil Swallow podcast, February the 24th, 2025. Hope you're all doing well. And it's kind of the usual fairly informal format, my talking head. No real great order other than very roughly some of the stuff I've done and that you would have seen. A bit of behind the scenes to do with that, and then some of the stuff that's coming up. So one of the things that was high on the agenda last time was Swiss Lodge, which is the lodge house north of Addington Park, Crown Bromley Common. Oh, okay, cool. Hi, Jeff. Yeah, so Swiss Lodge, I was aware of it, and then Gemma on Facebook pointed out that it was at risk of demolition, and I tried to get a listing, and only after I tried and they refused to list it, for the good reasons really that they gave, I guess. I only found out then that a couple of years ago someone had tried to get it listed as well, and I think part of the problem is the building has changed probably too much from the original. I mean, it's the same structure and footprint, but there's been quite a few renovations through, weather and whatever causing damage. So they said, no, we're not going to do anything. And also the council approved that they could demolish the building. Now, I drove past there a few days ago. It was still standing, thankfully. They want to demolish it in preparation to build another development there, which the current proposals have not found favour. So it was a big learning about the fact that you're not always going to get them right. And it does seem that for listing buildings, there's got to be a very high percentage of fully original structure in place for them to give it consideration. And there unfortunately wasn't in the case of Swiss Lodge, so very disappointed. So, yeah, not listed. The go-ahead, it looks like for demolition. They had put a date of 10th of Feb, but as I say, when I drove past a couple of weeks ago, it was still standing. So, lesson learnt, I suppose. You just acquire this knowledge as you go. Another couple of people joined. Welcome to you. And as usual, just to point out, there's an audio version, so some of the things that I might cover may not make as much sense, although I'm not really screen sharing because that also got wiped when the computer got wiped, so I need to kind of start from scratch. Anyway, that's boring. So I mentioned in the last episode that I was going to try some snippet type videos, which is not quite short videos. So short videos that you can get on YouTube are a bit like the portrait style on TikTok and Reels and stuff on Facebook that they do. This is where it's just a shorter video, but I'll still edit it in the same way that I edit my videos, just designed to be a little bit more punchy, not necessarily a walking element to them, but definitely a talking element, definitely some maps and photos. So I released the first one about Park Hill Road, a couple of properties in Park Hill Road last week. It's done really well on views and engagement, and the nice thing was it was just a quick filming. I mean, I parked the car at Park Hill Recreation Ground, Lloyd Park Recreation Ground, and then just walked through the Park Hill estate and then went to do the filming. Good evening to you, D42, and yeah, so it was quite enjoyable to do, and I think the fact that I could turn it round quicker also meant that hopefully I can just keep the content on the channel a bit more fresh and a bit more regular going forward. So I've got another couple in that general area to do. I think they'll be quite popular because I've managed to find some good old photos that I can blend in. So yeah, about the sort of 4 or 5 minute mark maybe. So I'm looking to get that done when weather allows, when time allows, and all those things merge. Also, I was quite surprised when I did the walk around Park Hill. I thought that pretty much all of the old properties that stood there had gone. However, there are a couple that still remain, Thainscroft being one of them, and Cotlands, which is 42 Brownlow Road. So I might do something to bring those in because they do exist on old maps, and for perhaps good reason, they weren't wiped out when Wakes bought up the rest of the estate. It could be that they were just on the perimeter a bit more where they're located, but wonderful houses there. So Yeah, so the snippet idea I think will be good. I've got a few other subjects where I would like to cover them, but again, I sometimes delay doing these things because I want to try and incorporate them in a walk, as in walk and talk. But it's sometimes it's just easier to just get in the car or hop on a tram and just whiz out, do a bit of filming, get back, load it up, edit, bish bash bosh, and away we go. So that was good, and to get the engagement was superb because it was just, as I say, not as much effort, but great to see so many people with so many recollections. In fact, someone who'd commented to me at the weekend or early part of the weekend had done some digging into one of the families that lived there, so they'd looked at the old census reports and stuff. So it was nice to spin off that where they did their own bit of research, and we compared notes in the comments about that. So that was really cool. Now, I wanted to kind of get a bit of feedback from you guys. So I've incorporated in the last 2 to 3 videos, certainly the last 2, some Google Earth. I can only describe them as sort of fake drone shots, really, but they're probably more than that. So it's where you can illustrate something not just in a flat map, but within Google, it's like having the ability to fly a drone anywhere. You can create these videos, and what I tend to do is create them in Google Earth Studio on the web. They're only available on a browser in Chrome, and then I do some editing. Excuse me. Then I do some editing, sometimes do a bit of slow-mo to it, and then build them in to help tell the story. So I've enjoyed doing them. I think they add a bit of a different element, so I'm looking to do them a bit more, chiefly because you just can't always fly your drone over some of these places. So if Google and the like provide that facility for you, then it makes sense to use it. So that's cool. So you'll see in the bottom right of the screen, it has Google Earth as a kind of copyright or acknowledgement to them. So they've been really good fun. Now, other things. So January numbers were very good on the channel. Going back a bit more to normal, but I think this was a spin-off to where my Croydon Airport video and then Kenley Airport video were recommended by others that other people had shown, and I'll always take that as a big thumbs up. So that's great to see. And I did my first talk of the year back in January. That was in Hamsey Green, and debuted my new projector screen, which went down really well. And I've got a couple. Well, this is the thing. Moving on to what's next. So 3 talks between this Friday. I'm in Sanderstead. 19th of March at Caterham. Come back to that in a minute. And then 26th of March, I'm going to do a talk at the Coulsdon Residents Association AGM. That'll be a short talk. They've got their centenary coming up, so that's good. And I'm going to do another couple of other little jobs to help them with their promotion of that. So that'll be cool. The East Surrey talk, which it seemed to be a little while of toing and fro until we actually got a date in the diary. So that is the 19th of March at East Surrey Museum. If it gets any more, if it gets too highly subscribed, it'll be moved to the Soper Hall just over the road. So it'd be nice, but it'd be great to see any of you that might be around. It's a morning talk on the 19th of March. Contact eastsurreymuseumactivities@gmail.com or call 01883 340 275, and I'm actually going to put that into the chat, or at least try it now. Come on, things aren't. I'm struggling here today with all sorts of things. Right, let's try again. No, it won't let me paste it into the chat. Brilliant. So Jeff has asked, any more news about what they're doing with the Good Companions pub? Well, I've got a little bit of news, Jeff, in that Lidl have decided to try again with the Good Companions site. So they bought it in 2012, something like that. And I think when they bought it, they came straight in saying, well, they demolished the old site and put the perimeter fencing all around it, and then said, yeah, what we want to do is to build a Lidl here. And it got all sorts of challenges and, what do you call it? I suppose against rather than fors on the planning application. One of the big concerns was that the entrance or exit to the site would be very near to the schools. And, you know, you've got 3 schools that go along Tythe Picture Lane, as a number of us on this call and who may watch the video afterwards will know. All the schools that I went to back in the day. And yes, in these proposals that I've seen, which is for a little store, car parking and some accommodation, like apartments, they still have an entrance / exit by the school. So it'll be almost opposite Martin Close, very near to the middle school entrance. And obviously the senior school is a bit further on and the infant school around the corner. But still, that means there's a lot of coming and going at certain times of the day there. Now, they have put leaflets through the doors of a number of houses in the vicinity. Mum's house is in that catchment area, so she got the leaflet. I'm going to go along on her behalf to Woldingham Rugby Club on Wednesday afternoon, where they're going to do some kind of event. I think it's a kind of open thing, you know. I don't know that there's going to be any formal aspect to it, but I guess the people from Lidl are going to be there and probably have various posters and all that sort of stuff. I think it's 4:30 till 6:30, maybe a bit later. And I think they've got something just prior to that, a presentation for residents that maybe are a little bit closer to the plot. I'm kind of thinking, which way do I sway on this? I think if they can deal with the safety aspect of the proximity of the store and the traffic to the schools, then I think it would be good use of what is basically becoming an eyesore from a land perspective at the moment. There are a lot of Lidls and Aldis around. There's Lidl in Caterham Valley now, smaller one. There's an Aldi being built where Lambs and Caterham was. See my recent video for on Woldingham to Manor Park for referral, which I'll talk about in a bit. Yes, so there are a lot of these popping up, but I think people also quite like them. The price point is pretty good for groceries, and they have that middle aisle for blokes like me to buy tools for the workshop that I didn't know I needed. And they normally they're pretty good tools, actually. They last well, stuff that I've had so far. So, yes, we shall see what happens there. I don't know what they're looking for to... DJ Puff the Third, Henlows. Is that hello? But, yeah, I mean, I think, you know, Lidl are sort of pretty down-to-earth, honest kind of bunch of people. And I think it will create some jobs for the area, which is always good. I know they'll compete with Co-op. Co-op has a post office in there, I think. So, but you know, a number of shops have moved away down there. It's quite difficult, really. The high street is so different now. Nail bars and tanning salons and takeaways and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, not that many, a couple of decades ago, maybe it was very different. But yes, I didn't actually put that on my little list of happenings. So Woldingham to Manor Park video, that was one that I did the other week. And that was basically finishing off the fact that I never completed the video when I did the Tilling Down farm area walk in the summer. So I made a little loop and found a couple of other facts, and really nice weather that day. It didn't quite shine as brightly as I would have liked to pick out the lovely stonework on the viaduct, but it was still pretty cool. So I was pleased to get that one done. And it's always just a nice area, really. It's quite a bit of road on the walk, but I did find a path to use across the field at one point. So have a look at that if you've not done so far. The other thing, which I don't know if she's on tonight, so try and hold this up to the camera. And I don't know if that's visible. That is a leaflet, and it is the Old Coulsdon Historical Trail 2011, produced by the Bourne Society. Now, I've done this before where I have good intentions of doing a walk, and then through my research into the walk, I discover that someone else has mapped out a walk or written out a trail. And this is a great thing that they did, 14 years ago now by the Bourne Society. I'm pretty certain that a number of the buildings will still be standing, or the references certainly will be there. And it says it's about a 2-hour walk from the Fox on a loop. So that will be done. Probably going to wait until we get some reasonable weather in the spring. And it it means that I will also be looking for more of these, because I'm sure I had to dig around a bit, and then it just came up on the Bourne Society website. So Old Coulsdon Walk and Talk, much nearer to happening because I've got the information to hand. We have a comment. You were the one. Thank you, sir. I was the one that mentioned the other big villa in Park Hill. Well done with that video. Thank you very much. I don't think I mentioned it there. I may have mentioned it in the comments. There was a film called Our Mother's House, 1967. Dirk Bogarde was in it, and it was quite a kind of interesting film, the plot. And I actually ordered a DVD off of one of these kind of vintage DVD suppliers on eBay or something. It was only a few quid. And Sue and I started to watch it the other day, and the sound levels they need a bit of editing. So I'm doing my own. I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but I'm doing it anyway for personal use. I have copied the DVD onto my computer, and I am doing some sound editing, compressing and limiting to equalise the sound a bit more. I'm also going to burn in some captions because it didn't have captions on there, and we sometimes need that because Sue has a hearing impairment. So so I'm going to basically soup up this film, 1967, but it was filmed all around that area. I think it was favouring Chichester Road, but on some of the outdoor scenes you get a good idea of just how grand these houses were. They were really quite something. So it's a really quite a nice area actually, Park Hill. It was really quite quiet when I went through there, and so I'm going to revisit that. A lot of history there, so that'll be some fun. It might be that there's enough content there to perhaps a bit more than snippets, really. So there'll probably be maybe a Park Hill walk or something like that I'll do. I'll kind of work that out when I get to it. So other things planned, as I say, I'm going to do a video to help out with the Coulsdon centenary. That should hopefully be done fairly soon. Been liaising with them about that. I've got plans to revisit Caterham because I want to do a video on the Hewitts family. That's probably going to be a snippet because I've got the story of that nailed down, and I've got some photos that I can use, and I can just focus on where the store was in the high street. The building's still there and flat above and all that sort of stuff. So Hewitts Greengrocers, and just Caterham generally. There's some bits in the surrounding area of Caterham that I could probably do. May tie that up with a walk, Caterham Coulsdon or Caterham Chaldon, that kind of thing. Haven't fully worked it out yet. Declan, late to class. Hope you're keeping well. Certainly am. Thank you. Welcome to the podcast / live stream. I don't know. I could call it a live stream, really, couldn't I? It's the same thing. Coulsdon a bit more. I did do the then and now Coulsdon. It's not called New Coulsdon, but the Coulsdon down at Brighton Road, the sort of lower Coulsdon bit. So I'm probably going to visit that again. I haven't worked out what I'm going to cover yet, but I've got quite a few old photos there that might be able to incorporate. Bletchingley is planned, and also Nutfield area at some point. And then Tatsfield Part 2 is going to happen. Oh, enjoy seeing Manor Park and Caterham roundabout. Yeah, thank you. I have to say, Wopsey's Lodge is a really strange place in many ways. When I was down there was no one else there. I was kind of just filming there in the middle of it. The sound is deadened. I think I mentioned that, but it's deadened from the fact that there's that kind of, I suppose you call it a safety wall all the way roundabout. But yeah, it's almost like you feel it's a landing pad for a spaceship or something weird. But it's just got a certain presence to it. Very strange, Wopsey's Lodge. Yes, you thought I might go to Coulsdon and film the big holes, Jeff. Well, it's funny you should say that, right? Because there's been a lot of chatter I'm in the Bourne Society Council, and there's been a lot of conversations, and some of the Bourne Society folk have been given their experience and the historical knowledge to various news agencies for them to help write their stories recently, ever since that sinkhole came up. I won't go down there at this point, only because it was only October time last year when I did the walk and talk there. And it's funny because I walked along that path that is now kind of mostly gone. And at the time I had the camera pointing at me, so it was kind of over my shoulder. And I thought, if I'd had my 360 camera, I could have gone back and re-edited the footage because it would have captured front and back and left and right. But I thought there won't be much gained by going along there. I mean, some of the views have ticked up a little bit because I suppose people are just generally searching for Coulsdon. But one of the things I noticed when I researched that was if you go to a map from about the 1890s, the place is full of sand pits, gravel pits. There was the gunpowder works and chalk quarries obviously in that whole area. We know that. But you know what's that term about the danger of building on sand? And I suppose that's kind of happened. But I think the popular money is on the fact that there was a burst water main that wouldn't have helped. It looked quite old from what we could see, quite decayed. So, but I'm sure there'll be a report at some point. And but yeah, that was there's cave networks and all sorts going on. There was some articles that are dotted around. I'll have to try and find them and maybe put them on my social medias for interest. But yeah, right, okay. Smash the thumbs up. Yes, agreed. Hit the thumbs up in the chat. Yeah, so it's interesting how things like that just occur, isn't it? So because afterwards you kind of think, you look at that and you think, well, that sandpit is effectively on the map. It's a trackway where that road is, and then the sandpit's very large to the left of it. As you're looking on the map. So but it actually there's a bit of it on the other side of this as well. So yeah, I'm no builder, but I probably wouldn't have built something like that. And it's no doubt, lorries that trundle along there and just general weight of traffic, which they may not have foreseen when that was constructed originally and then redeveloped. So it's just all sorts of things that combine. So yeah, but the comments on the videos, I'm preparing for the talk that I'm doing at Caterham. It's really about this stuff that I do, and it's going to be a challenge to sort of condense it down to a manageable number of slides. But it's really the comments and engagement that's really made me think about how valuable this is to me and hopefully to you guys. I still get comments on comments about things like Croydon Airport. I mean, that's had 40,000 views now, the Croydon Airport video, which is obviously I'm very pleased with. And but it's good that people pick up on other conversations. People kind of almost connects up with people they may have known just through commenting on YouTube, which is wonderful. Is it a similar scenario to the sandstone mines in Caterham? Yeah, I don't know. I would imagine there's going to be a lot more interest in the underlying geology of this area, and perhaps other areas as well, where you think, okay, how safe are we? Because there's some quite new construction. I think there's a block of flats on the side there that are quite new, and I think someone refused to leave. But yeah, it's we have a lot of interest in this area thanks to Coulsdon, and it's great to see. Yeah, Reigate. I'll have to look into that. I mean, my son, daughter-in-law, and granddaughters live in Reigate, but I've never really done any filming down there. It's kind of, I feel there's a lot more that I want to cover in this area before I venture that way. I'm still looking to do a bit more in the West Wickham and Spring Park area. I'm probably going to do a little bit, probably a snippet on Spring Park and the Spring, because that's quite a nice area. So yes, that's about where things are at the moment. Let's just have a look on where we are on the dashboard. Just make sure I didn't miss any of my recent videos. Windy Ridge, I think we possibly spoke about that. That's also gone down very well. 1,500 views of that one in the first, where are we? first month, just over a month. So yeah, I mean, I love telling the stories, and when I've been looking back on some of the original videos 3 years ago when I started this proper, 4 years this year, and I've gradually brought things in that I've found more interesting, and again, hopefully they help tell the story to you guys. I do get some great comments along those lines, and really appreciate that. So, and before I forget, I know I sometimes say on here about good things that are on TV, and feel free to pop any in the comments that you're watching at the moment, but we are in the middle of Severance, which is an Apple TV production. I think it's ended up as their highest rated series, and it's incredible put together. It's slightly sci-fi, slightly futuristic-ish. It is, but it isn't, if that makes sense. And I won't spoil any, won't do any spoilers, but it's just incredibly good watch. Very, very well done. Reigate stones or the green sands of the Cretaceous. Green sand way, Kentish rag would be similar. Right. I need to brush up on some geology, I think, to understand some of this stuff. I know that there was Coulsdon Caves. I'm not sure that you can visit them as such, but I know that they popped up before on TV programmes like Portillo when he does his train things. I think he went to Coulsdon and went underground because he was talking about the armaments and stuff like that. And also around the back of Woldingham there are ventilation shafts and things like that for the railway. But again, I don't know what sort of exploration value they might have. We shall see. So yes. Now, is there anything else that we need to cover on my little agenda? Yeah, so in some ways I'm kind of gradually, I'm sort of branching out from where I live. That's what some of the early videos did. Always kind of link it to Croydon. But then also sort of the Bourne area. There's Kenley. Probably need to do a bit more in the lower part of Kenley, where Gardeners Pleasure Resort was, not connected with Gardeners of Hamsey Green Aerodrome or Airfield fame. And there's some other sites around there, obviously the waterworks and the like. So, and I will one day do the waterworks of Croydon, or I could just break them down into smaller chunks. But it's that kind of balancing the time, really. I'm not complaining at all, but I'm now involved in quite heavily in a couple of the big history societies in the area, so I have to sort of juggle that as well. Cool. So, anything else? Did anyone want to fire anything at me, in a manner of speaking? And I'd be happy to reply. Once you say you've learnt a lot from me on local history, got me in history, especially in and around Addington. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much. That is absolute joy to hear. It's someone, after I did the Sanderstead video, I've done 2 Sanderstead walk and talks, and someone said they learned more in the 20 odd minutes of the video than living there 40 years, which I took as a huge compliment. But I think sometimes we all have busy lives, and we kind of go to and from where we need to go, or we jump in the car and just whiz off. Just getting out and walking along and having an inquiring mind, I suppose, sometimes helps. If I see something like the Leicester House post and the little, where the ring doorbell thing was, not a ring doorbell, but a bell push on the post there, and also the remains of the long wall from the Grange, I kind of think, what's the story there? Not necessarily why did they leave it, but what happened there? Who lived there? Who lived in a house like that? Must get those photos out for me. Lots of pictures of pearly floods. We'll do it. Jeff, you said that every time now, mate. So I'll have to start finding you. No, yeah, please do. Just let me know. Ping me a message. If there's anything that you think might be of interest to include in the video, and if they're large files, because some photos scanned can be quite large, WeTransfer.com is really good. You don't have to, there's no cost to it. And it can take quite big files. And then you just get about a week or something for the recipient to download them. But yeah, I use that quite a lot. WeTransfer, literally WeTransfer.com, are really good to send stuff over. When I did the most recent Croydon refresh last November, a guy got in touch with me and sent over some brilliant scans of images that were taken on film in that day. So I've got to work out how I'm going to merge those in. I wish there were a picture of the structure at Addington Spring, Addington Village behind Lion Lodge. It was supposedly a covered spring. Also any evidence of Roman activity in Addington Village. Yeah, so there have been archaeological digs in that area. The name of the person who actually documented them, and there is a published booklet on it, escapes me from the moment. Roman activity in the area crops up quite a lot. As you'd expect, they were occupiers for quite some time in the UK or England. So the over at Tatsfield Park, there were 2 Roman villas either side of the early part of the River Eden down there. You've got up near, I've not visited this, but apparently if you park your car at, what's the name of the services on the A25? It was Titsy Wood Services area before they actually named it. Oh God, I'm losing my marbles here. The services that are near the Caterham Oxted area on the M25, near the car park, apparently there's a sort of, I've seen it on Google Earth, there's like a barrier which I assume is for service vehicles to get in, and if you carry on up the road, what's it called? I'm going on the map. Prize whoever can get in there before me. The services, what are they called? I can't even find my map now. There we go. Right, okay. That's no good, the wrong map. Still can't find it. This is good TV, isn't it? I'm not going to spend time trying to find it if I can't. Anyway, put it into the comments if you think of it. Anyway, the services on the M25. If you go up there, there's a Romano British Temple site, Clackett Lane. Thank you. See, I knew you'd know. Yes, a Romano British Temple site up there. I don't know if you can get anywhere near it. I don't know if there's anything to actually see, but it is marked on an Ordnance Survey map. So that's something to consider as well. And again, with these things, it's quite a trek. I suppose I could just go on the motorway, pull into the services and go off, rocking up with my camera, but it might happen one day. But again, I don't know if there's anything to see. Last time I was at Tatsfield Park, we had a nice cream tea there in the summer, and I asked the guy where you pay a few quid to access gardens. I said, look, I know you've got the Roman villa sites down here. I said, is it accessible to the public? Could I kind of go for a wander in the grounds? And he said, no, it's all private land. Can't go near it. Fair enough. 60% of an old terracotta and gold glazed internal bowl in the stream at the bottom of the spout. Wow. Yeah. Nice one. Yeah, I mean, when we're doing some research into for a talk that I'm giving in April at the Bourne Society, and we were just trying to get the story of West Hall area, as in West Hall Road. West Hall building is still the site thereof, is still there. It was just to say, have there been any early finds there, maybe Roman times or earlier? And there's nothing that we could find when we spoke to the museum at Caterham, but they have got lots of finds from sort of Chelsham, the Nor Hill area and Worms Heath and all that sort of area, because there were all sorts of enclosures and that kind of stuff. Is that an easy walk? Do you mean the big grasshopper, Jeff? the grasshopper on the A25. Is that still going? That was a place back in the day. Used to be heaving down there. So right, I will check that out. I will check that out. Go for a wander. Go for a little, seeking to find such a thing. But yeah, all of these things, I find them interesting, and I hope that other people do too. But regardless of that, all I can ever do is to try and tell the story and present it in a way that's as interesting as I think I can make it, with skill level and material available and editing and all that sort of stuff. And after that, it goes up to YouTube and it's kind of there for a long time unless you decide to kill it and redo it. So that's why I think this idea of snippets might work quite well, because I get in my own way a bit when I try and just save everything up for big videos. So they're still going to feature. The longer form will still feature, but I want to try and just tackle these more static subjects that don't need a walk, but I can still tell a story around it. So, right, so that's good. Where are we at? We're towards the end of February this week. I'm just kind of, and I know it's been dry and cold. Had some more rain in the last week or so. But I feel now that we should start to get some spring days. Into March, we sometimes get the odd random day when you just think, hang on, this is shirt sleeve weather. And you can go for a nice walk and, explore that way. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to happen. Andrew Sanderson, hello Phil. Recently stumbled across your channel. Work for the RAC and currently working, so can't stay today unfortunately, so I apologise for butting in. Do you have an email address? Yes. So my email address should be easy to remember, to recall. And if I put it in the chat, so I'm dodging the microphone to see the keyboard. There we go. phil@philswallow.com. Your thoughts on the old wooden house on Upper Selsdon Road, Fox Farm? Yeah. Yes, I've got some information on that in published books. Wooden house on Upper Selsdon Road and Fox Farm. Yeah, so my aim there, Andrew, is to do a kind of Cromehurst walk. So do a bit of a loop where I can touch Cromehurst, see some of the views from there, and then come along Upper Selsdon Road, pick out those buildings, because that really does stand out, that the whole Fox Farm area and thing, and the Andrew, welcome. Nice one. Thank you, Declan, for being my extra host today and welcoming people. That's great. Cool to see. Yeah, so nice bit of history. And that's the other thing, is sometimes you think there's a whole row of houses there and there's this kind of old looking one in the middle of it, like the old building down Purley Downs Road near the bridge. And then you've got the Waterworks and refuse site on the other side. So that's been there many years. And also I think there's a few dotted around in Purley that are still there from back in the day. So, and it just might make it easier to just sort of tell the story of that house. The nice thing is you can get a reasonable amount of information online. We got census reports from 1841 when they first started, up to 1921, all on Ancestry now. You've got the 1939 register. 1931 survey got burnt, so we, even after the allotted time of 100 years, we won't see anything. And then occasionally you can get access to electoral roll information and just do some digging around. So yes, I've kind of, I think, fine-tuned my research reasonably well so far in my journey on this historical crusade that I'm on. So yeah, good. Well, we've hit the sort of roughly average time of these broadcasts, and I will say once again, thank you so much for jumping on and helping it go along swimmingly. Really do appreciate that. Just arrived at a job. Drove past the Mystery Stones of Annington Village. 100 metres from the pillars of Park Hill Road. Nice one. Old looking house on Corkscrew Hill That looks a lot out of place. Now, whereabouts is that? Sparrows Den, Cooks. Oh, I think I know what you mean. Yes, and I've probably looked at that one every time I've gone up Corkscrew Hill. Yes, one to look at. I've not done too much in that area. I know that the old school, which was originally Wickham Court Hotel, I don't think there's a school there at the moment. I don't know what that building is or what it'll become. So yeah, thank you, Andrew. Thanks for your kind comments. But yeah, lots to do. But as I say, having broken my duck of is that the term? Anyway, I made a start on snippets. I think I feel and the fact that it's gone down so well, the first one. If I pick the right subject and it's nice and quickly consumable, and it brings people along to the channel, that's great. Thank you, Declan. So yeah, thank you all, guys. I'll put a formal thanks in here. All once again. And yeah, I don't know, I managed to get 2 streams going concurrently, but hopefully we ended up okay. So yes, look after yourselves, and as I say in my videos, I'll see you in the next one. Have a good evening.